think my most memorable experience with the row display was that the very first person who I talked to was a yoga instructor over at the university, and she had absolutely no idea that women die from safe and legal abortions. And so it was really interesting being able to talk to her and then relate it back to late-term abortions that are taking place here in Albuquerque.
So I had a great time at the row display. I think that my favorite part was just having open conversations about abortion with many of my fellow students. I had in-depth conversations, like over 30 minutes, and I think that it was great to just come together as a college and have those open conversations that no one ever has, and I think that it really had a great impact.
Hey guys, it's Lo here, Rocky Mountain Regional Coordinator for Students for Life. I just wanted to make a quick video to talk about everything that went on last week. I took the What Is Row Done For Us display around, and then we had a Rocky Mountain Regional Leadership Summit down in Albuquerque. And so I'm going to start with talking about the row display. So this display, in case you haven't heard of it or seen it, it is 13 panels long, and it basically talks about just because Roe v. Wade was made legal doesn't mean it's safe. Is legal abortion safe? And it was awesome to take around. I was able to take it to the University of Northern Colorado in Greeley, Colorado State University in Fort Collins, Regis University in Denver, and the University of New Mexico down in Albuquerque. And the reactions at the different schools couldn't have been more different. And it was incredible to see. I mean, I saw trends, where there were times throughout the day where people were not engaging. People didn't want to have conversation about it. It made them feel uncomfortable, and it made them challenge their own beliefs to say, what do I think about legal abortion? What do I think about Roe v. Wade? And then there were certain times during the day where there were so many people looking at the display that we didn't have enough students to talk to them. And, that's an incredible problem to have, because then, we try to bring multiple people in on these conversations, and the dynamic just definitely changes, and it's so fun and really powerful. I mean, we had the full spectrum of reactions during the display. We had people who said, you know what, this is awesome. How do I get involved in your group? I want to start doing pro-life work. I support you. And then you had people kind of in the middle that were really struggling with it. Like, I don't know what I think about this. And, they appreciated the education point and reading the information on the displays, taking our card, and, that was really important to them. And then we had people on the opposite side who said, you know what, I adamantly support legal abortion, and how dare you try to take it away. People were angry. People would come up and yell at us and, just show hostility. And those are the conversations I think that are very important to have. At one of the colleges down, University of New Mexico, we had about 15 student volunteers from the group that were there the entire day having conversations, and I can't think of a single time where people from the group were sitting around not talking to someone, and everybody was engaging in dialogue. We even came across a woman who had collected signatures, in Michigan in the early 1970s to make abortion legal, and talked to post-abortive men and women to say, you know what, when we envision a world without abortion and a world without Roe v. Wade, what does that look like? Well, it looks like we need a lot more resources to help those who are going to be facing planned and unplanned pregnancies. And that's a lot of what this display, was able to have people engage in the dialogue about what would a world without abortion look like. People who may never have thought of that question before. And it was incredible to see. We had students who engaged with other students who had been raped, or students who maybe were conceived, in incest or the hard and the rare circumstances. And so how do we better ourselves to talk about those things? And I think it's really important that when we bring activism-based displays like this, that we never forget that our number one job is to be compassionate and loving, and to show people that we're there to help. We're not just there to talk about how bad abortion is. We're there to help. And I just applaud all the student groups who hosted this display and who worked to get the training they needed to have the dialogue and the discussions that they had, and who brought their local pregnancy resource centers, or who had their pregnant on campus information resource table there at the display. I really commend your efforts. Even at Colorado State University, the event planning committee or group on campus, I guess it's not a group, but the office, they actually came and said, you know what, you guys need to take this down. And they called the cops on us. And, this is something that I think was a learning experience for the students to say, okay, so how do we deal with, having events like this where somebody might call the cops on us when we know we're not doing anything illegal. And, it was awesome to see just how prepared the groups were to deal with anything that came their way, to deal with, the hard conversations or the hostility. Even the director of the Women's Resource Center at the University of Albuquerque came up and said, you know what, this is terrible, you guys are spreading lies, this is horrible, and she was very hostile towards the group. And, it was interesting to see that there are people on your campuses who may not support your work, but that doesn't mean that the work you're doing isn't important. It is so valuable to educate about abortion and to bring life-affirming resources to your campus. And don't let other people's attitudes and their reactions towards things that you may do bring you guys down. Don't let it deter you from hosting events like this. Don't let it deter you from having a polling table on campus or some other awesome activity, because you guys are doing work that other people may not have the courage to do, and that is awesome. And I cannot wait to see just what all the groups in the Rocky Mountain region continue to do, and it's just so exciting, and I am so lucky to be in this position. On the other side, I wanted to talk about how the week ended last week, and so we hosted our Rocky Mountain Spring Leadership Summit at the University of New Mexico, hosted by UNM Students for Life, and it was so cool because when I came into the region, there weren't a lot of really active Students for Life groups in New Mexico, and really, within the Four Corners area also. But at the summit, there were over 30 students. It was standing room only at a certain point during the leadership summit, and it was so cool because students from almost a dozen schools, public and private high schools, colleges, homeschool communities, were all there to learn how can we be better leaders. How do we get counsel or sidewalk counseling training, apologetics training, effective practices, social justice. How do we talk about abortion in these different lenses, and how do we bring the knowledge that we learned at the summit back to our communities so that we can abolish abortion and we can increase the resources that are available, because it's so important to do so. And I'm just really excited to see where all these students take the information that you learned. And if you weren't at the summit but you want to connect with some of these student groups that are doing this work, or you want a training from me, just email me at lmartinez@studentsforlife.org, or you can Facebook me or text me. Subscribe to my blogs. I blog about different things you guys can be doing or different events that are happening in the region every couple weeks, and so that would be an awesome way to kind of get started if you haven't gotten started. As always, if you have any questions, just feel free to contact me. I'm so proud of everyone, and I just encourage you to end this semester with only a couple weeks left with a bang. End it with just some powerful events and activism on campus, and show your campus that you guys not only have the potential to abolish abortion, but you have the potential to really change the culture to a life-loving and giving one.
My name is Rowena, and I am at the Rocky Mountain Students for Life Leadership Summit, and I'm really excited to get involved and also to share about the hard cases in the abortion argument and how every life is valuable no matter how the child is conceived.